Good evening. Welcome to the Sunday Pub yet again. Sorry about last week. I had a fever all of a sudden, starting at about 5 or 6, just for time zones. This is 8. And yeah, at about 5 or 6, I started getting a fever, which was really weird. And it was completely gone the next morning, which was also really weird. And then I figured out it was because I have a tooth that is not doing so good, and it was kind of swollen up, like my gums were swollen up around it, and I think it was infected and gave me a fever or something. I don't know. Anyway, ended up with a fever just for one night, just in time for missing the pub. How is everybody doing? For anybody who's here for the first time, I say it every time. If you've never been here before, this is a live chat with a bunch of bookish nerd friends. I invite every week different people, and whoever turns up, turns up. It's pretty casual. And we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Usually books, often not books. And we also have reading sprints, which is the extremely weird habit of people nowadays to get online and then read together. If you had told me 20 years ago people would be doing this in 2025, I would have laughed you out of the room because it sounds so ridiculous. Like, why would you bother getting online to read together? But we do it every week. And it's actually really nice because it's a sort of concentrated, kind of committed place to read. And then a bit of chat beforehand, a bit of chat afterwards. And that's always nice. And I've got some friends joining me. Jared's here. How you doing, Jared? Good to see you.
How are you, Matt? Thanks for having me.
Pretty good. Good to see you. And we've got Derry, and we've got Josh.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, it's always kind of fun and strange for me. I never know, like, even a day beforehand, who's going to be in the pub. I usually send out, like, I don't know, 10 invites because I know that a bunch of people will have other commitments and won't make it and whatever. And then there's people like Josh, who I think I've probably invited, I don't know how many times, but usually Josh is busy. A lot of people are busy on Sundays.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen you, Josh. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
I've been in the chat occasionally, but that's about it. Usually Sunday I have like a billion things to do, but my school year's winding down, so I should be able to make it the next pop in the next few weeks, and
Cool.
Probably leading up to at least till end of July. So
cool.
Awesome. That's
Yeah, there's
good to see you as well, Jared.
there's a bunch of friends that I've invited many times and have maybe come once or never, but a lot of them are like, don't stop inviting me. I will come. I will surprise you eventually. I do want to come, but I just generally can't. So we'll see how that goes. So who have we got here? We have Osa. We have Thornall was actually the first one here, who said he ran like hell and lied because he actually just brisk walked.
That's still very flattering.
That's running.
Totally. I'm actually, I've got to say, I am kind of shocked every week, even though I've been doing this now. I think this is actually the 60th.
Wow.
Because I always put in the thumbnail just to keep track of it for myself, really small, and each thumbnail is a number. And I think this is the 60th Sunday Pub.
Nice.
Even though I've been doing it 60 times already, I'm always kind of shocked that people turn up. You know, it's kind of like, what? People, like, this is something that would make Thornall walk briskly. Yeah, which is always kind of touching and a very nice thing for me. K2's here, Justin's here, John's here, Jeroen is here. Pub is love, pub is life. True. It's accurate. Caro's here, Ida's here, Claudia's here. I am feeling better, thank you, Claudia.
You should get yourself booked in at a dentist, though. Don't mess around with your teeth.
Yeah, I fucking hate dentists.
Same.
Oh
but I
my
now have a
God.
massive gap between my teeth because they all had to come out.
I have
Don't mess around with it.
I have a yeah, my dental admission is I have 3 teeth that used to have crowns. The crowns got ripped off by food at some point, and the teeth are kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
So I basically got 3 kind of gaps. And last time I went to the dentist, she was like, "Oh yeah, you need dental surgery to have those completely removed." And I never did it.
Yeah.
And
Go to
now
a
they're
dentist.
just falling apart worse and
'Cause
and
you
apparently
get
getting
infected
infected.
there, you'll die.
Yeah. I wasn't anywhere near dying, but I did have a little bit of a
You
fever.
don't actually know that, Matt.
Well,
Don't mess around
just
with
have a
your
little
teeth.
bit of it. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Infections in your head don't have far to go to get to your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have that much brain. Evie's here. Daniel's here. Alicia's here.
You got a pretty full house. You might have to expand the pub. Might have to put in some
Exactly. Might have to open up the garden in the back. Yeah. The sprints are a reading club for gentlemen only. Evie is a very fine gentleman of the female persuasion. Yeah. As long as you're defining gentleman that way, then I suppose you might be correct. Peter's here. Mitch is here. Marianne's here. Rogue is here.
I think the
I know.
reading sprints is it's taken the most isolated and singular hobby a person can do and makes it social.
Yeah. I remember the first time. I don't remember when exactly or whose stream it was, but I remember the first time I stumbled into a reading sprint stream. I think it was probably an Alan stream because he was doing it at least before Atticus. He was doing it all the time, and it took me a minute to figure out what the hell was going on. Because there were like 6 people on screen and all of them were reading. I'm like, what?
Just doing this. Yep.
What are you doing? Why are you here?
Now at putting at the bottom what's happening. We're reading until X minutes.
Yeah, but even then you're like, I was like, why?
Yeah, but why?
Why are you doing this on screen?
You're right. The theory is pretty ridiculous, but
totally
then
weird.
When you're doing it, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, I love doing it.
To a non-reader or someone who doesn't want to talk about what they read, you see the confusion. They just what?
Even readers. Like my best friend in Berlin, Jason, is a very avid reader. He's read a lot and he reads often. And he actually writes for a living. So like he has a lot to do with words. And every now and then he's like, hey, why don't we do something on Sunday night? And I'm like, dude, I've always got my live stream on Sunday night. I'm kind of perma booked on Sunday nights. And he's like, yeah, that's right. I've never watched it. What do you do? And I explained to him, chatting and everything. And then I was like, yeah, and then we do, reading sprints. And he's familiar with the term sprint because he's worked in software, which is where it comes from. But he was like, what exactly is a reading sprint?
Computer says no.
I'm like, yeah, we've got, 4 or 6 or 8 people on screen and we all read together and everybody in the chat reads. He's like, why? I'm like, yeah. Anyway.
You read out loud?
Yeah, no, we're all reading individually. And you can watch people read. Yeah, it is kind of strange.
In the most wholesome of ways.
Yeah, Rogue. I will. I used to be better prepared for the dentist because I used to meditate regularly. And when I went to the dentist, I would just like really intensely meditate and pretty much be unaware of what they were doing. Well, I mean, I just send my mind off somewhere else, and you'd be aware of it, but it wouldn't bother you. It's like a background noise or something. But I haven't been meditating regularly.
And just mentioning Daniel in the comments saying going to the dentist is a luxury in the US. It's not covered in New Zealand either. Although we've got free healthcare, if you have an accident, whatever, you end up in hospital, you don't get a bill at the end of it. Dental care isn't covered unless it's an emergency. So, which usually isn't the case, let's face it.
Yeah.
But it means that when I have to go to the dentist, I make it very clear up front. I live on welfare. I cannot afford everything I need to get done. So all I can ask you to do is give me a quote for the most urgent thing.
Yeah.
And so I still have a lot of stuff that has to happen, but the infection.
Germany's basically the same. Like we also have socialized medicine. Everybody pretty much has very good healthcare. And when I go to the doctor, it costs me nothing. Like any doctor visit, I just give them my card and I walk out. Yeah. And when I get medication, like the medication maybe cost $50, I pay $5. You know, it's like it's very cheap. But dental, it depends a little on who your insurer is. Okay. But generally, because it's kind of weird in Germany. It's not the government that is the insurer. There are insurance companies, but they are super heavily regulated by the government.
Right.
And they have to offer certain things, and they have a little flexibility with some things and whatever. But basically dental checkups, I think 1 a year or 2 a year are covered. So just getting a checkup. But if they have to do anything, then it starts to potentially get expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is one way of stopping it getting really expensive.
Yeah. And it's like the last time I went, where I guess that was basically a checkup and clean with a bit more on top. It cost me almost nothing. But if I'm getting like dental surgery to remove 3 teeth, that's another reason to not want to do it. It's probably going to cost a little bit. What is everybody reading? Someone, Daniel, teeth are your bourgeois bones. Yeah, that's true. Kind of, yeah.
I'm about to start Discovery because I just finished Nalini Singh's closing book of her 17-book series, which was very satisfying. I love it when they can go, okay, you've been really patient, 17 books. We're going to close this out well.
Now it's all right.
Got it. So that was lovely. And so now I'm going to pick up the Minton's book and give that a go.
Cool.
So it's not my usual thing, but I have high hopes.
It's good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
he had sent me an arc. I read it about 2 weeks ago, and
awesome.
It's got some really, really cool elements, some really clever structural elements in particular that I really enjoyed. But awesome. It's a genre mashup. I mean, it's mostly sci-fi, but there's a lot in there. It's an ambitious book. It reminded me of like some of the works of Dan Simmons, to be honest, where Dan Simmons throws in science fiction and fantasy and literary references, and there's a lot of that in there. But it's definitely worth your time.
Nice, good to know. I trust you.
What about you, Jared? What are you reading?
That's always a loaded question because I'm always reading 4 or 5 things at once.
That's true. You're one of those weirdos.
But today I'll be finishing up Clara and the Sun.
Guru. How is it?
Very nice. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
I like it a real lot. This is my first issue Guru, so he's a brilliant writer. He's
absolutely
uses his prose is really, really nice, really nice. But I know you're a comic book fan, Matt, so
I am.
I wanted to show you this adaptation of A Wizard of Earthsea.
Oh, that looks pretty.
Novel. And
nice cover.
It is gorgeous. It's like watercolors on the inside.
Oh wow! Show me.
And it really
that is beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful.
The nice.
Who's the artist?
That
looks familiar.
Adapted by Fred Fordham.
Fred Fordham. Okay,
I never heard of him before.
Okay,
myself, but
I actually just got a very chunky comic. The Bendis
Daredevil.
Bendis Daredevil Volume 1. This is only one of them. There's another one I've I've got that as well. But I ordered both, and the volume 1 was back ordered, so I had to wait before I could start them. But they just came in.
Yeah, I read those in single issues when they came out way back when.
Nice.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, look at the dragon. It's like
Look at that.
Yeah,
very
pretty.
cool. It's very pretty. So
Oh, cool.
figured you would appreciate that.
I will look that up.
You Earthsea fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an Earthsea fan and a comic fan and a beautiful art fan. So
Yeah.
I will get on that
And
immediately.
for you Malazan fans, I'm reading the philosophy book, the Individuation.
I got that recently. I haven't read it yet.
Fallen Ascent in the Malazan book of Fallen. Young analysis. So
Nice.
pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff too.
Are you? I can't remember, Jared. Are you also a Hobb fan?
I am still in Assassin's Apprentice right now because I'm
Oh, right. Okay.
reading it along with the release of the comic. And
okay.
It's going to take a while.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's almost done. It's like
Yeah.
it's only 2 more issues left, and
Oh, we're that
it's gonna,
close. Okay. I usually wait till the sections are done, and then I get all of them sent at once. So
yeah,
I've
you
had
do the
2
collection.
batches arrive already.
Yeah, but it's been an interesting experience. I've never done anything like that before, so it's quite.
I thought it was really well done. I do think the adaptation.
The comic is the adaptation is beautiful. It's
The
really
comic's been good. Yeah.
really well done.
I grabbed the first, I don't know, 6 or 8 episodes or issues already.
Yeah. Very good adaptation. Yeah.
Okay.
Once I
Cool.
finish that, I think I might just carry on with the rest of the series normally.
It's going to be very slow if you're going to wait for comics for all of
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely.
Slow as it
Given that
may
we're still
never
waiting
happen.
for special editions for live ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. What about you, Josh? What are you reading?
I will be finishing Kingdoms of Death today. I have
Oh, cool.
about 100 pages left in that, and then up next I'm going to start Tori's book. Cold Silver.
Four
Yes,
Souls. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to start that. I'll probably finish Kingdoms of Death this afternoon. Start that one tonight.
Cold Silver's good.
Oh, you read it already? Cool.
Yeah, I was one of her alpha
Later
or
this week,
beta
I think.
readers or whatever. Yeah.
I'm sure it's right up my alley, like a fantasy western. I love genre mashups.
Necromancing.
It's totally a Western and totally a fantasy, and it's like, although it's I would say the world in general is not that fantastical. It's much more, the world feels much more like a Western than it feels like a fantasy. But there are fantasy things in the world which are well known and, accepted.
Cool.
It's
I
good.
just love the way Tori spoke about it and just how quickly she was inspired after writing the short story for the Christmas Advent book that came out last year. I just love that she was like, oh, I have a story. I can write a story. And it was just flowing. And I just love that for Tori.
Yeah.
And that's why some people are writers and other people are just readers. I can't come up with ideas like that. And a writer, I have an idea for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also really nice just for my experience. It's not that often that you find a fantasy where it is 100% about a female protagonist. I mean, there are some. It's not like non-existent, but it's certainly not the norm. They're relatively rare, and she is a cool female protagonist as well.
Nice.
She's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I, 15 minutes ago, finished Dragon Keeper.
Oh,
Yay.
cool.
Which is, for those of you who don't know, the first book in the fourth sub-series of the Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. And when we sprint, I will be starting Dragon Haven, the second book.
Nice.
Damn, she's good. And damn, she writes really annoying people sometimes.
She can.
Oh
But
my
this is the thing, and
God.
that's-
She's so good at really, really annoying, manipulative.
Yes.
You just want to shake them
yes.
and throw them into the Rainwild's River. characters. Oh my God. And there are so many in this book.
Yeah. And but that leans into the fact that when the publisher went, we're going to aim this at YA, and all the readers went, oh, it's a YA novel. Nobody stops and goes, hang on, it wasn't written for YA. Read it like a grown-up reading a grown-up book.
Yeah.
And suddenly the tropes that could so easily fall into YA are talking about something completely differently.
Don't look
you read
YA
it
at all.
as an adult,
Yeah.
as an adult story.
Yeah.
And it's so,
for anyone who has heard, I'll say it so that Derry doesn't have to give a lecture about it. For anyone who has heard funny things about Rainwald Chronicles, one, it is not a bad series. It's actually very good. It is, in my opinion, it's probably the weakest of the 5 sub-series.
because it was interfered with.
Well, and also a weak Robin Hobb series is like so much better than so many other books. Like a weak Robin Hobb series is still killing most authors.
96 out of 100 sounds really good, but if everything else is 99 and 100, it's not good.
Yeah. It's not YA. There are a lot of young characters in it. There is a group of characters in it who are all kind of teenagers and act like teenagers, but
it's not a YA story.
I would pretty much say half of the cast are not those kids, are just normal adults. And a lot of the stuff going on, it's not a YA story. Like if I don't think what makes a YA story is just the age of the characters. But if you do, you might think it's a YA story, I guess. But it's dealing with a lot of very, very adult themes and topics. It's written in a very adult way. And if you're at all interested in the world of the Six Duchies, there is probably more exposed and explained in Rainwald Chronicles than in any other series in the whole series. So like if you're interested in dragons or elderlings or the history of the world and what changed and how it changed and why it changed and all of that, you really need to read Rainwald's.
Yeah, I think the big point there, Matt, is with when you have an author as good as Hobb and you compare her lesser works to herself, they're not going to stand up. But you compare her lesser works to 95% of authors out there, and it's way better. I mean, I was thinking of this recently with Guy Gabriel Kay. I just finished Fiona of Our Tapestry, which most people say is one of his lowest rated things. You know, you look at the ratings, and I agree the first book is not great, but I thought it was a better series than Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn.
I love the
not even close. Yeah. So
Fiona of Our is good. I liked Fiona of Our a lot.
Good, but you know, when you see the heights that he reached as an author later, it's not as good as Sarantine. It's not as good as Lines of Alrasan, but it's still better than just about everybody else. So same thing with Hobb, with Rainwald Chronicles. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the main thing, I mean, I guess everybody can get different things out of the same author, but the main thing that I always get out of Hobb is I almost, not quite, but almost don't really care what the story is.
Yeah.
Because the characters are so engaging. The characters are so well written. Their interactions are so fascinating and believable that she can pretty much throw down like 5 characters and have them just interact with each other, and I'm cool. I'm satisfied. Yeah. You know, like they can be doing whatever they're doing, but as long as they're just interacting with each other, it's going to be kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
And this
she
is
manages to get
very
those
much
little
Rainwald.
moments of friction in real life that really get you, that get your emotions going, but aren't necessarily important. But she gives you that heightened sense of emotion. So you kind of don't care that there's not a lot of big stuff happening because you're getting that emotional stimulation. And she's so good at it. I keep
kind of worrying, for Robin Hobb herself, because I think if you can write gaslighting and manipulation this
That
well,
you've experienced it.
you've had a lot of experience with it. Like there are some insanely manipulative, horrible characters.
Yeah.
Specifically, just in this series so far, there are 3.
Which, I mean,
if you've read it,
particularly hates the villain of that.
Hest, Cedric, and Greft, like all 3 of them need to be thrown in a very deep hole. They are just, I just.
One of those 3 is a victim.
Yeah. But
that's the nuance of Hobb, is that you can be like, I'm going to throw this guy in a river, only to later be going, oh my God, this poor guy.
I totally understand his victimhood. I have a really hard time with. I have a hard time sympathizing with cowards.
For me, like with him, it was more a question of understanding his youth and how the worst bad guy groomed that person into who he became. And so that kind of level of victimhood for me is so damaging, because it literally affected who he turned into.
Totally.
That's it's heartbreaking. So
I can sympathize at the same time that I'm thinking, could you just have at least one ball? Yeah. Just one.
But this is the thing, that they've been trained into this behavior.
Yeah.
And that it's shown so naturally that where you would never think that this person is a victim. You would never sort of go, this wasn't always part of this person's personality.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. That level of manipulation changes who you are. And she does it so brilliantly, because as the story unfolds and you get that kind of unpicking of what's been done to this person, it's glorious.
Yeah. Hearing people talk about Realm of the Eldlings, it always seems to me like Rangwell Chronicles gets a really bad rap, and it does not deserve it. It really does not deserve it. It is in no way a bad series. These are not bad books. They're excellent books. They're maybe not quite as good as Live Ships or Tony Man or whatever,
Yeah, they don't match up with the Hobb standard.
No,
but they match up with everybody else's standard.
Yeah, they are better than most fantasy, but not as good as most of Hobb's fantasy.
The pre-Rainwild's checklist is, I like to try and give to readers before they start it, is okay, there was publisher interference, read it as a duology, not a quartet. It's not YA. Don't be following the YA tropes for meaning. Ignore the YA trope. Let it be a grown-up story. It's a Hobb book. And because it's a Hobb book, you have to forgive it not being as amazing as all the other Hobb books. Still a really good book.
Jenny Wirtz in the house.
And it comes between 2 of the most amazing trilogies ever.
Yeah.
Just between Tawny Man and Fitz and the Fool.
It's going to be really hard, like stacking up when you're between those 2 series.
Middle child.
Yeah.
It does a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Pete
has arrived. Also a Rainwell's fan.
Absolutely.
Anita, second favorite subseries. And she'll fight anyone who says they're not good enough.
I will support
Fair
you
enough. Yeah, I'll join you in that fight. We can die on that hill together.
Because obviously I'm the Hobb person, I get the Hobb news in all the discords, is that the people who find Realm of the Elderlings via Rainwilds, because obviously it was aimed at a different market, people see it as a separate series on its own, not realizing it's part of a greater whole.
Yeah.
So the people who came in with that series first love it. And they've then gone back and read the rest and then read forward. Those people that started with Rainwilds, it remains their favorite series even after reading everything else. Because
although they probably, if they came in because of the marketing, they probably read it when they were quite young.
They often were just looking for something
approaching it as a. Okay.
I know a couple of readers, because that was my question. I was like, "Oh, was it in a YA section? How did you come about it?"
Yeah.
And often it was more from then moving into fantasy from romantasy, and they're looking for something with more drama, a bit more dragons. And this is kind of what it bubbled to the top of the things they were looking for.
Yeah.
And it remains their favorite. And I love that.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed to hear people that don't read the 5 series in kind of the order as it should be. People that maybe start with live ships, or like I have a real life friend that read the 3 Fit series and didn't even read live ships.
Didn't read the others. Yeah.
Just skipped live ships and
He just read the 9 books and the Fitz
they have
books
good
and
experiences.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He
those
said it was. He said it was 9 perfect books. So he loved it.
I've totally got a person. I don't own a person. Okay. I'm establishing that now. I don't own a person. I have a person.
It's good to know, because I think it's also illegal in New Zealand.
Who I was, against my better judgment, was very lovely and kind and generous to when they began live ships over my very vocal disagreement. They read live ships, and they are now reading Farseer. And so it is interesting to me in that, how does that work? What are your feelings? How are you finding it? And they are having the best time. They're like, I didn't think I was going to love this at all, let alone as much as I'm enjoying it. And I am enjoying it. They've just started Assassin's Quest. So this is where I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to feel, where I want to know how they feel about how having read one first affects.
Yeah. She also did, I think, a really good job of making them lightly, but only lightly connected. Like,
they weren't supposed to be.
You need to. I think you need to read the Fitz books in order.
Oh yeah,
obviously, because that's one story of one person or a couple of people, and it is chronological and they are connected. But like if you read Live Ships somewhere not in order, or if you read Rainwald somewhere not in order, it's not a disaster. I don't recommend it. I tell everybody, hey, read Farseer, start there. That's where you start. But if you don't, it's not horrible.
I want everyone to love it as much as possible and enjoy everything as much as possible on their first read. I want maximum enjoyment out of that first read.
Yeah.
So it's publication order. You get the reveals as the author reveals it to you. You get the information in the order they intended.
And there are reveals that are more meaningful if you do it in order.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And I've read it a stupid number of times, so obviously I can see it far more clearly than people who have read it once and just go, wow, that was amazing. But there are definitely a series of cause and event moments where I can read Live Ships and I can see so very clearly the path where events in Farseer have led to events in Live Ships.
Yeah.
Even though they're not clear, it's not a straight line A to B. And the same again for Rainwilds. And those things, subconsciously or not, in a first-time reader, I think are important because they are connected. It is a single timeline of events. But, you know, I'm allowed to be a little bit picky. I've read it this many times. I'm not normal.
Yeah.
I know this.
No, but I haven't read it. I haven't read it even 10% as many times as you have. I'm reading Rainwilds for the second time, and the first time was 15 years ago or something like that. So I barely remember it. I constantly have a feeling that I know what's coming, but I'm not consciously aware of what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this strikes me as familiar, and I think it leads to this, but I'm not sure. But I am constantly, as I'm reading Rainwilds, I am constantly thinking of Live Ships.
Yes.
Right. Yes. There is so much.
The vibe is
mostly, like not character connection. Like a couple of characters kind of turn up, but they're not that relevant to this story. But the world building. There's so much world building connection. There are so many things hinted at in Live Ships which become important and relevant and explained in Rainwilds. They're definitely connected. But if you were to read just Rainwilds or just Live Ship, it wouldn't be a disaster. you know.
But those the little epigraphs at the beginning of the chapters in Rain Wilds is one of my favourite things that she does
Yes.
in all of Realm of the Elderlings, which are the letters between the pigeon keepers. Because
Character
they
development
tell you
and
so
epigraphs.
much about the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, not only character development, but also world building. There are so many little hints to things that are going on in the world through these epigraphs. For those who don't know, it's not a spoiler to say every chapter begins with a letter which is written by the bird keeper in one place, sending a bird with a message to the bird keeper in another place. And it's just every epigraph is them writing back and forth to each other. And it's really, really charming just in general, how they sort of build this friendship and are, you know, sharing things back and forth. But also they're cluing you in on all sorts of little background details if you're paying attention. If you read over them quickly, like I reread them a couple of times because I'm like, what are they talking about? Oh, I get it. You know, there are lots of little hints to things going on. It's really, really charming. Yes, Thornall, the pub is where you learn that you should read sequels.
Yes.
If you've read Hyperion, I was just yesterday, Tori asked me for a recommendation, and anyone who's been paying attention to me and Tori knows that we have a disastrous buddy read record at this point where I've recommended like 3 different books that she hated. And she asked me for a recommendation. And I was like, fuck off. I'm not recommending anything to you anymore. Why would I recommend you a book? And she got me over that. And then I was like, wait a sec, you haven't read Hyperion? And we're still friends? Read Hyperion. What are you doing? So, and I said, commit at least to reading the first 2, please. But you should read all 4, definitely.
My favorite sci-fi series. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good.
Damn.
It is so good. Gotta read it. I mean, now that I'm getting heavily into Tchaikovsky, I'm like, yeah, is Dan Simmons really the king though? I don't know. Like they're quite different, but I've read some Tchaikovsky where I'm like, okay, giving Hyperion a run for its money.
I
Yeah.
haven't
I'm
bounced
going
off
to
a
Final
Tchaikovsky
Architecture
yet.
next year.
They're really good.
Final Architecture is so good.
Yeah.
That is so far. I think I'd say that's so far my favorite Tchaikovsky.
Cool.
Is Final Architecture. It's really, really good. It's I would say my feeling anyway was that reading Hyperion, I had the feeling that Dan Simmons had a much more complicated plan behind the whole story than Tchaikovsky has behind Final Architecture. Final Architecture is more splashy space opera adventure kind of stuff, and it doesn't feel as intricate, and like there are some reveals in Hyperion where you're just like, wait a sec, what? You know, just like big crazy things. And Final Architecture never really got to that point, but it was super enjoyable. It was so good. So good. Speaking of Tchaikovsky, Aslan, House of Open Wounds and Hyperion, 2 favorite books of all times. I still need to get to House of Open Wounds. It's nudging closer on my probable mood reading list that isn't a list.
I love that we all have this ephemeral list.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the list.
I was seriously today, like I said, like an hour ago, I finished this and I was like, okay, what am I doing next? And I looked around and I was like, House of Open Wounds is on this stack back here.
But
I
it's
was like,
one
maybe that.
Dragon Haven. It's one book.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I none of that makes any difference to my mood. I was just like, I've been thinking about House of Open Wounds, and then I was like, but I want to continue. So I just put this down and picked this up. So, yeah. Speaking of which, should we maybe sprint?
Lovely. Alrighty.
No, Evie, I don't listen to you. I mean, I do listen to you, but my mood doesn't listen to you. My mood just looks around and goes, that. That.
Josh, I will be getting the Song of Our Bone this summer.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's another thing. I watched your brunch thing, Josh.
It's on at 3 o'clock in my morning. I haven't got a chance to rewatch it yet.
And-
Sorry, Gary.
Rude.
And I was like, I really need to get into GGK. Many years ago, I read Fianna Var and quite liked it. And I think I read Isabel and Tigana.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was back when he hadn't written much more. And he hadn't written much more. So I stopped, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, he's got quite a lot, and everybody I know that's read them thinks they're amazing. So when am I picking up Perhaps the Stars? Also, rewind about 5 minutes and listen to me talking about my mood. I don't know. I really don't know. It is a great question, Jerome, but I really don't know. I do not make long-term reading plans. That has foiled me too often in the past. So let me see. Let's go until 1:15.
Right.
Make sense?
Sure.
Cool. So everybody enjoy your reading. Everybody on screen, please don't forget to mute yourself. And see you soon. Hello. I muted you, Derry, because you were not muted.
I noticed. And I'm now going, why? How?
I
There
don't,
was the hands occupied over here with my book.
I don't know.
That's twice my computer's done that now.
And look what happened while we were sprinting.
A Tory arrived and a book lounge arrived. Hi.
And Anitha and a Turi arrived.
Ah,
I don't know if Anita's talking to me right now. Can I be here?
Why am I not
Don't
talking to
make
you?
us choose.
You forgot already? You were mad
No.
at me like a day and a half ago.
I need to get mad at everybody.
Ancient history.
Yeah.
Ancient history. Okay, I got it. Good.
It's because she hasn't got a notebook like Alan. That's why.
Anitha gets mad at people really easily, but luckily she also has a very short memory.
She's actually quite
Apparently.
sweet-tempered. It's all just a front.
Theoretically, yeah.
I how do I put it? I easily forgive people.
Yes.
I need to be more stronger and more stubborn and not forgive so easily.
It's good to have goals.
I feel like that one's kind of
Right.
sliding in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly. I'm too nice. I
Yeah,
should
need to be
vow.
meaner to
I vow
people.
to be nastier.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you two doing? What are you reading?
You
Well-
want to go first?
Sure. Do you know what I'm not reading, Anitha? Do you know what I'm not reading?
I have seen that you have.
Yeah, I'm not reading The Fall of Babel because I got yelled at. So instead, I'll probably read it in May anyways, just because. But I am reading Hunting Party by Elizabeth Moon,
She's so good.
which is a 1990s sci-fi, so it's very different than what I usually read. It's not fast-paced for how short it is, but it is weirdly
Thorough.
intriguing. It's a lot of details, like spaceship repairs and parts and things, which isn't really my
She
thing.
was in the military, Elizabeth.
Oh, I
Moon.
can
So
tell.
where she
I can
writes-
definitely tell. She also knows horses. I can
Yeah.
tell. But the character work is really intriguing, and I'm here for it. So, yeah, it's good so far.
Cool.
I am reading many things. Okay. Let me start with this. I am reading City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is book 1 in Divine Cities trilogy.
Okay.
This is read along in Alan's Discord, and I am liking it a lot.
More successful than
Very
the
cool.
Whittaker books then.
We have yet to see because some people did not like it.
A lot of people didn't.
I think it is mostly because of audiobook. Audiobook production quality is very bad. Editing is very bad. I am immersion reading, so I can see in the book actually there is a scene to scene change. What is the current timeline and what is in the flashback? But audiobook, they cut the pauses, so it almost feels like it's a continuation of one single sentence, even though scene changes. It rushes you.
Right.
So
That
I'm
would be
liking it.
confusing.
And I'm also reading American Indian Myths and Legends. This is
oh, that's cool.
Myths and Legends. Obviously, as the title says, I'm still in the beginning. I am liking the stories.
Nice.
That
That's
book
really
has been
cool.
around for a long time. I used to have that book when I was in university, exactly that edition with the same cover. And that's like about 100 years ago. So that book's been around for a while.
Yeah, it is very well researched. They collected all
Yeah.
from north, south, east, west, all the stories and organized into different sections. So first section is creation myths, how
Nice.
people are created from Native Americans' perspective.
I like
It's
it.
good. And
And there's more,
But wait, there's more.
yes,
apparently.
I also started Tales from Earthsea.
Ah.
Edwin?
I read one story which is 130 pages. Maybe I should call it novella. So,
I
and
think that's the most underrated aspect of the Earthsea books. I think that short story collection is incredible. I think it's like the best world building of all 6 books is in the short stories. So good.
I know, right? So this first story like sets almost 300 years before the beginning of Wizard of Earthsea, and it was darker times where people are scared of wizards. It was very heavy at the same time. Oh my god, beautiful.
Nice. I gotta get to that.
Cool.
And I may or may not have started the self-help book by this young author, Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tucken.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm starting it tonight. So
Oh boy.
yeah.
Oh boy.
For me, yes.
So it's out there.
Just about. It officially releases on the 27th.
Okay.
So 9 days.
Right.
But I got the shipping notification, so everybody's physical copies are en route to me currently,
Cool.
and I will be signing a lot of books in the next few days.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's got to be exciting.
I'm very excited. Packaging everybody's books is one of my favorite parts of the whole process because it's really fun to like package each individual person's, thing and sign it for them, and it's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking
And
forward-
Anita, you said you started it.
Hmm?
How is it? Be honest. Even though Tori's here, be honest.
I won't be offended.
Tori can take it.
Yep.
It's too early to say. Uh, First person present tense is weird to me. It took me some time to get used to it. So still too early to say. I cannot say anything yet.
Fair enough. Fair
Took
enough.
me a while to get used to it too.
Push. Yeah, first person's weird. It doesn't seem it. I don't know if this is statistically in any way actually accurate, but it feels to me like it used to be a lot more common than it is now. Like
Yeah.
it's not that common in newer books, but
This
in
book
a lot
uses
of older stuff.
This book uses present tense but third person.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it was also weird reading, like I recently read Ogres by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's a novella, and 98% of it is in second person, which is really weird to start
It's a
with.
bit jarring in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like me. You're talking to me. I did these things, but it works. Like after a while, I found that after a few pages, I was like, yeah, that's just the way this story is. Obviously, it's not talking to me. He didn't know me when he wrote the book. It's talking to the character, you, and it works.
My favorite, okay, out of everything I read, my favorite first person is obviously Farsi books. Hobb did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And I think Adrian Tchaikovsky did a very good job with second person. It did not take me long time to get used to it, and it worked well with the story.
Yeah. No, it totally fit. It was the same for me. I mean, like the first page, you're like, this is kind of weird. But then after like 5 pages, you're like, it just flows. He does it very well.
And N.K. Jemisin did the same. I mean, she used all first person, third person, first person, second person in Broken Earth trilogy. It worked actually at least for me.
I DNF'd the first book. Me and Josh. High five, Josh. High five, Tori. I did not like those at all. I think it was more. I didn't really have a problem with the second person. I think it was more that they felt really preachy to me.
Mm-hmm.
She obviously had a point, kind of a political or socio-political point that she wanted to make. I got what it was really early, and she kept hammering me with it. And I was like, if that's all you got, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read all of this just for more of that, you know.
That
But
trilogy is something where people either hate or really love.
yeah,
Luckily, I fall on the other side. Many people actually liked first book a lot, second and third not so much. But for me, I like second book more than first and third book more than first two. It worked for me.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of people love it. It was one of those things where
It was a
when I
book
when
to
I
go for a while.
when I actually started disliking it, I kind of persevered longer than I probably normally would have because I'd heard from so many people who really loved it.
Mhm.
I thought, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I really need to give this a bit more of a chance. But it just I never really got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this. It just felt overbearingly preachy to me. Not my jam, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It's
I'm
okay.
glad you enjoyed it.
It is one, especially the final book, The Stone Sky. It is like one of my favorite final books of a trilogy. It was very,
Nice.
very well done.
Yeah, cool.
It's nice when a series lands.
I was disappointed in the sprint, mostly because there's a prologue in this book, and it's not a prologue; it's a recap.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have read it. I should have just skipped it. I got about halfway through it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is one of those." The previous book came out a few years ago, and she's just re-summarizing the previous book, and I just finished the previous book an hour ago. I shouldn't be reading this. So yeah,
I should
Yeah.
have remembered and warned you.
It's nice when a few years go by and you recap yourself. But yeah,
I
if you just
I wish more authors would do that.
Yes, that should
Yeah.
be normalized.
That should be an
Amen.
absolute, almost a requirement. Like, give us at least like a 10-page what happened before.
You know
was in-
what's wild to me is so my 9-year-old daughter has been telling me or having me read the Del Toro Quest
Yeah.
books. Look how tiny these are, you guys. And
Yeah.
there is the story so far in the
Mhm.
beginning.
Yeah.
So
That's
like
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I really I miss it. Even I mean, this is actually my extremely interrupted and chaotic relationship with Robin Hobb. I read Farseer when Farseer was all there was, and I in fact I think I read the first two books and had to wait for the third one. I read the third one and then had to wait a long time and kind of forgot about Hobb and wasn't really reading very much anymore. And then at some point I came back to, I remembered Hobb and I went back and read Farseer again. And then I read Live Ships, but again, I think there were only two and the third one wasn't out yet, and so on and so on. And it's really useful to have a refresher, you know, that you don't have to get, because what I was doing, and I did this also with A Song of Ice and Fire, every time since the third one, every time one of those came out, I reread all of them.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be really nice just to go, here's 10 or 20 pages, refresh your memory, catch you up, you know. Authors out there, do that. Yeah.
I remember when I was little, there used to be a storytelling program on the telly in England. And I remember thinking as a small child, how are they telling me the same story that they told me yesterday and now adding more story today? Not recognizing that I wasn't getting the full story of what had already happened, just sort of a shortened version. But it confused me a lot as a child, because I was like, this is the same, it's on for the same amount of time. How am I getting the extra story today? But I already got what I had last time when they filled the same amount of time. I was a strange child.
Yeah.
I think most of us were, Derry.
I was so confused by it.
Yeah, Jenny, I would sort of agree. Although, honestly, if you're working your recap ish into your narrative, but not as a recap, then I always feel like you're trying to fool me
Mhm.
and kind of wasting my time, because I'm reading it and I remember enough that I'm like, okay, what you're doing is recapping, but you're hiding it. And I don't need it if I remember. And if I do remember, I would like something that is like, here's a recap, you know?
Well, that's the thing is I feel like recaps are an option. There's two things. One, recaps are very necessary when a lot of readers are putting a lot of time and space in between each book. And like
And
we
other
read
books.
so much, we can't retain every possible. And it's really helpful
Yeah.
for some of us to go in and be like, oh, yep, that happened. Okay, cool. And now you can continue.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're, like working it back, then you're just kind of repeating it in the
Yeah.
story and you're not giving the reader something like moving the story along.
I'd much prefer to have a clearly separated recap, so
Yeah,
I can
that you can
say I
read.
don't need this, so
Right.
I'm not going to read it.
Right.
Or if it's woven into the story, then I kind of have to read it anyway, and it
Right.
frustrates me.
Yeah, that's how I prefer it
do-
as well.
I do like how, with Janny's point, a lot of crime fiction authors are really good at that because they have
Yeah.
big long series. How they'll be able to just weave in personal things that, if you happen to jump in as an installment, it's new, but it also is a good kind of reminder or a mental
Jogs
cue
your
for
memory.
those of us.
Yeah,
reading.
if it's just a mention here
Yeah.
or there, then of course
Just
that's not so annoying. But I've
Yeah,
read some
that's in
things where like the first 2 chapters are
Or a rehash.
are kind of 50% recap,
Mhm.
but it's woven in with stuff that I have to read because it's new.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I'm always like, yeah, this feels like padding and stuffing that I
Yeah.
really don't need to go through, you know?
I want
I
to
do
have
like when they're weaving in from like you get events from like a different perspective almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's
I
something
love
I really
totally new.
like when authors do that.
Yeah, if it's really presenting something totally new, then that can be very interesting. But yeah, generally if it's kind of like I didn't want to write a recap, but I kind of feel like I have to write a recap, you know, it's kind of half-assed to me.
Can I show off this cover once? I found this used book of To Write Hell's Chasm.
Isn't it beautiful?
That's
Dun,
I
dun,
can't
dun.
tell you how much I love this cover.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Honestly, the edition I have, which is the white one with the 2 guys standing there and the picture on the wall behind them, that one to me is kind of compared to that one. I like that one a lot more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is very cool.
And it is only 480 pages.
Who painted it?
I have no idea.
Is
Actually.
it also a Jenny or a?
Probably
Yeah,
Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Renaissance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Well, on that note, I have to run because I actually have to go to a discussion
You
about
have to go talk about
Destiny's
Jenny works.
conflicts. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Cool.
but thanks for having me, Matt. And
Yeah,
it's
thanks for
nice
joining,
see
Jared.
you
Good to
all.
see you.
Nice to
Take
see
care.
you.
Good to see you, man.
Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Enjoy your chat. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess it's kind of weird talking about the artist's work when the artist is listening, but a lot of Jenny's work, and I don't know if this is conscious. Jenny, if you're still here, you can tell me in the comments if this is very, very conscious. But a lot of her work has a very, it almost reminds me of like ancient Egyptian paintings, that it's got a very sort of formalized 2-dimensional feeling. Like it feels less spacious and more like a very sort of formal. I don't know. I don't know how to
Storytelling.
describe it correctly.
Like
But
a storyboard.
yeah, not even a storyboard, but more of a like. It reminds me of a lot of a lot of ancient cultures where they had very formalized sort of and 2-dimensional kind of rules about how they structured visual things. Whereas that cover
That's
is
good.
very dimensional. It's much more of a free 3D space, very open, and has a lot more depth in it and that kind of thing. Like I always remember the name wrong, but is it There Lies Camelot? the
That Way Lies.
That Way Lies Camelot, the short story collection of Jenny Wart's stories. The cover of that is very two-dimensional, like Jerome, like a mural, but you can also paint. A mural is just something painted on a wall. Yeah, exactly. So all of that picture, or all of the subjects of that picture, are on one plane.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, again, if Jenny's there, obviously, please do let us know. Is that because some art was made as art first, or some were made for book covers? What was the intention behind the art at the beginning? I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
No idea. Although I think her
that.
covers are painted to be covers.
Speaking of this collection, there is one story in here that I'm pretty sure the art came first, if I'm remembering correctly. It was one of Dawn Mate's paintings that she did the story for, I think.
Okay, cool.
That.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. Good collection.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong by any of what I'm saying.
Beautiful.
I really like Jenny's work as well. It's just quite different than a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I studied painting, so I spent a lot of time taking apart paintings and talking about them, and whether I liked them or not. We did a lot of that in university, and I like I like her work a lot.
My train of thought has got Jenny now wearing one of those really cliched feathered headdresses, because so many feathers in caps. Rescue, all of these things. So yeah, train of thought went somewhere very different.
I like it.
She says both paintings in That Way Lies Camelot came first.
Wow.
Nice.
And sometimes it had to do with the art direction, what preferences the publisher had. Yeah, I'm really interested in how that works. How artists create covers. I mean, with Jenny, I think it's probably a little different, because a lot of the stuff that she's creating covers for are books she wrote. Mm-hmm. And that's quite different than someone calls you up out of the blue and says, hey, somebody wrote a book and we need a cover.
Ooh,
Yeah, this is the one I was thinking about, called The Snare, that was inspired by this painting by Dawn Mates.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that painting before.
It's a really good story.
Actually, you're mirrored as well. Yeah, flipped around.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I'm interested in how that works, because the only person I know a fair bit about is Michael Whelan, because he's been very transparent about it. I've got a couple of his books where they're like collections of his visual work, but he also wrote quite lengthy descriptions about how they came to be, and where the ideas came from and all that kind of thing. And he's also I think he moved from Twitter to Blue Sky, but he's been really, really cool about posting. He'll take like one of his paintings and post it on Twitter, and then post sketches that led to the painting and long descriptions of like how the thing started from beginning to end, like how it all came to be.
Developmental process.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he talks about it. Yeah. No, this is
Just
self-taught, no models, pure imagination,
all those feathers.
no digital cut and paste, all paint. Yeah.
So talented.
Yeah, it was interesting. So Michael Whelan does use models sometimes, but often the model is him. Like he does a pose and has somebody take a photo of him, and then uses the photo. But painting straight out of your imagination is quite an achievement. That is very cool.
It is
That
amazing.
is very, very cool. Yeah, and doing it old school, I mean, that's certainly something
That's true talent.
I miss. Like when I was a kid reading fantasy and science fiction, that was the only way to do it. Everybody was painting on actual canvas or board or whatever with actual physical paints. And
We were all limited to what we were capable of doing.
well, and it was just like The technology didn't exist to paint in a computer, you know?
My point is more, I have a really good imagination. I read a lot, and it's always better in your imagination. And I would love to be able to put the pictures that are in my head out onto an external plane, and I can't. So that's where digital art tools help. Because
I used to teach sketching specifically for my work, like for other people in my industry to sketch their ideas. And I hate it when people say they can't draw. Have not yet learned to, have not practiced, etc. That's one thing, but can't is a different
hurdle. At 50, it's a hurdle. So
yeah,
been tools developed to help. I like that. It doesn't in any way diminish the fact that for Jenny to be able to do it all out of her imagination is an incredible gift. And
absolutely.
The effort and the time that's gone into learning how to do that is in no way lessened by tools being available to somebody like me who hasn't spent that time working on it. That's going to show in whatever comes out in if I create something. It's going to show that, I had help with that.
But I always like to point out that you can actually learn to do it. Drawing is not a God-given gift. It is a skill that you can learn. Yep. And you can start out with nothing. I know people who could not draw, like their drawings looked like 5-year-old drawings, and they got a sketchbook and they sat down for 15 minutes or half an hour every day and fiddled around, and they drew a lot of garbage for a year, and then they started drawing some pretty cool stuff for another year, and then they started drawing some stuff where it was like, damn, this like looks like you went to art school, you know.
Same thing with music, Matt.
Yeah.
People say, I can't play. I'm tone deaf. Well, nobody's tone deaf, but all the things people say, they can't play music. Yeah, if you were tone deaf, you wouldn't understand tone of voice. If somebody called you on the phone, you wouldn't know whether they were happy or sad or even who they were. So like nobody's tone deaf. Yeah. But like anything, it's an art that can be taught because there's a craft to it. So just like anything, you put the time in, and you may not do that for a living, but you can certainly get better and improve. So yeah,
it's like that with writing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jenny. There's also I'm someone who works in the digital world. I create software. I design software, so I'm doing visual creative stuff, but I'm doing it all on a computer. And I really miss creating something that then exists in the world.
It's that tangible.
When I went to university, I studied painting. So I had canvases that you could give to someone, and people, friends of mine, family, they have paintings I did on their walls still, and it's so different than doing something, no matter how creative and cool it is, but it's in a computer and it basically doesn't really exist.
I'm a jack of all trades, but I've come to it all very late. Tori knows I've put photos in her Discord. I built a table with flap wings. Looks fabulous. It's cool. Frankenstein underneath, but I'm so happy because I made it and it does what I want it to, and it's level and it's a height that I'm so proud of myself for making that.
You should be.
I learned to journal. I do jigsaws. I do lots of little bits of creative things, and I'm not proficient at any of them, but there's a real pleasure in just sort of dabbling. And I'm dabbling in all sorts of things.
So many people that say I can't, and it's like that, Josh, with music, with writing, with drawing, like people comment on my journaling videos all the time. I could never. And it's like, no, the difference here isn't that you could never. It's that I took a piece of paper and I stuck it to something. That's it. Like you gotta take your violin and you gotta screech just once, and then you gotta move forward. Write a sentence.
There is a hurdle there. I mean, I've had I was strangely, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this. Strangely, I was a violin prodigy. So I was in a children's orchestra when I was 8 years old. I was first chair violin in a children's orchestra at 8, played up until 10. Then we moved to Australia, and the music teacher I got wasn't as good as me.
Yeah.
And I stopped. I just couldn't. I don't know. And I mean, you start discovering girls and other more interesting things to do. So I just sort of got out of violin. Years later, I picked up a violin again. I was like, it's actually kind of a pity because I've got perfect pitch. I was a violin prodigy. It's kind of a pity to not play music at all, ever, you know? And I picked up a violin, and I remembered the intuitive things. Like when I was a kid, it was really hard to learn how to hold it correctly and just how to get your fingering in the right place and how to hold the bow correctly and all of that. I remembered all of that intuitively, no problem. I couldn't play a note. I couldn't read music anymore.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating to even begin practicing that I gave up really quickly. And I've done that 3 times now. During the pandemic, I was like, I'm going to rent a violin. They're like mail order rental. I never knew, but like somebody sent me a violin. And during the pandemic, I was like,
Your neighbors loved you.
I was like, I can't do this. And there's a hurdle with anything like that. There's a hurdle of getting to a point where you're actually enjoying it so that your enjoyment motivates you to keep going.
Yeah.
It's one of the lovely things with journaling is there are so many things you can use to kind of structure what you're doing. One of the wonderful things I learned just from watching other people journal was you can cut stuff out of coloring books and stick them in your journal. I was like, oh, game changer. Stickers, all sorts of things that you can put in to kind of give your page structure. And then you get to a point where you start feeling confident enough to go, okay, these stickers that I got that are little tiny squiggles of flowers, that's literally a squiggle of a flower I can learn to copy, and I don't have to buy these stickers anymore. And so you sort of learn doing it that way. And then you also, when you're my age, dabbling in all sorts of things, you've figured out that it's really only you that's looking at it. So who cares? And how to cover up your own mistakes in journaling has been one of the most wonderful things I watch people do online, where they go, this didn't work and I screwed that up, so this is how I fixed it. And you learn that you can cut a piece out of a spare bit of paper and simply cover it up.
Yep.
I was like,
just in general, even beyond creative endeavors, just in general, getting to an age where you stop giving a damn what anyone thinks of you is actually a great advantage. It's usually advantageous when you're just like, I don't care. I really don't care.
It's not so much I don't care, is that I'm not scared of making mistakes anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas that would
Like
often be the barrier. It's like I can't
like the old Bob Ross guy. Remember Bob Ross? He would do the painting and he'd make a happy little mistake here.
Happy little clouds.
Into something, yeah.
But that's kind of it. It's going, well, hey, it's there, so I can either work with it or cover it up or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Especially I remember from painting. I haven't painted in a long time, but I used to paint a lot. And especially with painting, like if you're looking at someone else's painting, all you're seeing is the finished result.
Yeah.
But like the process of it is screwing up so many thousands of times and just not freaking out about all the screw ups. And then either going, oh, I can make that into something, or screw it, I can paint over it. Or I can actually erase it while it's still wet. You know, I mean, just keep going is the process. You know,
I always have to teach my students when we listen to a recording of ourselves that, they always know where all the mistakes are.
Yeah.
And I tell them that when people are listening to you and they don't know what you're doing quite as intimately, they don't know where that is. And I used the phrase once, and the kids, of course, latched onto it. When we listened to a recording, I said, it's great. I said, the problem is, where all the bodies are buried. And of course they grabbed onto that. And that's like all they've said for like a year. It's like, oh, well, it was really good, but we know where the bodies are buried. And it's kind of true, like
That's
any
exactly
creation of
right.
art,
It's that-
you know, whether it's a performance or a book or a piece of art, you know, visual art, like you're gonna know where those little flaws may be. But 99.9% of the world probably isn't. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And
a
it may
lot
be the
tougher
first
when you're a
time that some of
creator.
those people have even heard that piece of music, let alone know it well enough to know that there's an error in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss orchestra. You had me beat by about 5 years, Matt. I was first chair violin at 13.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
haven't-
miss
haven't
playing
picked mine up
something.
in ages either. Yeah.
I had a phase also in Australia where I was like, I know that I can do music because I've done it.
Mhm.
I'm going to get a guitar, and I got a relatively nice guitar and had a pretty good teacher, and got to the point where I was playing blues guitar really well when I was drunk. No, I'm serious. Like there was a certain,
Hold on.
like I would be practicing blues scales and stuff. And then I decided to do it one night when I came home and I'd had a little bit to drink, not too much, but a bit. And I practiced my blues scales and I was like, oh my God, this flows so differently. Like just because you're so relaxed
Mhm.
and not like paying
You just feel
exact
like
attention, trying to get it perfect kind of thing. But like, and especially with blues, I think there is much more of a relaxed flowing kind of, it's not meant to be perfect on the nose, exact, you know?
A lot of the best jazz musicians they were heavily under
Had
influence.
substance abuse problems. Yes. Yeah. Chet Baker killed himself with coke. So
They
yeah,
possibly had
and heroin actually.
assistance in their relaxation.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how do we feel about another sprint?
Yeah, sounds good.
Maybe
I
until half
changed my
past.
book because you know what I figured out? If you've got a really old Kindle, like a really old one, they don't work with really modern Wi-Fi. I've got the latest 5G Wi-Fi, and my Kindle doesn't recognize it. And
I not now, but I may be able to help you with that because
with it later.
there is on a Wi-Fi router, you can have your Wi-Fi sending out 5 gigahertz or 2 gigahertz. That's the thing that makes a difference. And any router should be able to send out 5 or 2, and your old devices will not recognize 5.
Yeah.
But you can switch your router to 2 gigahertz, and then it's fine. It's a bit less data, slower data,
Yeah.
like the
That's
transmission.
okay. Then
but
I can turn it back to
works.
5 again when I've got my books again on my Kindle. But I've moved to
Exactly.
Changes, which was making me wiggle because it just had a very funny chapter in it. And
Cool. So everybody enjoy your reading. We'll go until half past. Please mute yourselves and enjoy your reading. Hello. How is everybody's reading?
Entertaining.
Good. Also entertaining.
What are you reading, Derry? You are laughing a lot.
Fabulous.
Nice.
Go, Kara.
I need
And
to. I have the first one of that series. I need to read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Sal
The
bought
second
it.
one is a lot. I don't like to say better, but I'm thoroughly entertained by this one. It's
Nice.
not trying so hard to be a romance. And
This
it's
is the
just
first one, right?
going,
Yep.
This world is fabulously fun. And it really is. So, but I liked Soulless. Soulless was good, obviously. I kept going. And I'm glad that I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But everybody else go.
I think I got 30 pages done in this, and got a snack. So
Nice. Well done.
And I fed Fitz,
Oh,
and
good.
Fitz puked.
Oh no.
Not so good. I
No.
thought we were over her digestive issues.
Yeah, mostly. It happens very rarely now, but basically I think she's just food neurotic, and sometimes she'll just inhale it so fast that she ends up puking.
My younger cat Pippin does that too sometimes.
Yeah.
Is it worth doing the food toys that make them eat slower?
You can do that, but you can only really use those toys with dry food, kibble.
Yeah, true.
And kibble seems to make her puke more often than any other than wet food. So I
Sort of a good one.
I give her
that you
kibble sort of at lunchtime.
could use wet food for,
Okay.
which is a large tray with maybe half an inch of water in it, and in bottle tops, maybe a little spoon of wet food in the water where she actually has to fish it.
Oh, okay.
And
That
then-
sounds like a lot of work for me.
It's that'll clean up puke.
Yeah, I don't mind cleaning up puke like once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, that's all right
It's not that often, you know.
There's nothing
It
worse
doesn't
than that
happen.
noise the cat makes pre-puke.
Yeah,
The body kind of hunches.
and she always comes over and stands next to me.
Yeah.
Like
It's
she
really fun when you hear
doesn't
that
wanna
at
be
like
alone.
3
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
'Cause
your
it
brain
wakes you up.
immediately, you come straight
I
out
know
of a
what
dead
that is.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And straight out of bed. There's none of this, oh, I don't feel like it. There's, oh
Nope.
my God, I'm awake.
Yeah.
I'm doing the thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
right up there with
she
the
seems
baby
to like
sleep.
company. So she doesn't want to be alone while she pukes. So she always comes over like right next to me and then starts going, hurt.
That actually kind of proves that it is a neuroses. Like she's actually got some anxiety about it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just weird about food. I think she grew up in a breeder, you know,
Yeah.
and there were I don't know how many other cats, and she was probably the small one that got her ass kicked when it came feeding time.
I wonder if she'd
And-
go for like one of those dog treats where you get like the pig's ears or something, where she just constantly has something that she could gnaw on that is a foodie kind of thing. Because,
Maybe.
I mean, if it's stressing her out, clearly it's stressing her out. It's a thing that stresses her.
Yeah. She's gotten more relaxed about it. I think it's been like a year,
Yeah.
I think, almost,
Maybe.
or a bit more. And I think she's noticed that there are no other cats that are going to take her food. You know,
Yeah, but that's
Like,
still a behavior.
she's
that she
here
has.
by herself. I don't
Maybe.
eat her food.
Maybe she doesn't know that. Maybe she's scared that you will steal her food.
Cats
No.
have as many mental issues as we do. And I know that with PTSD, I can live on my own in a place where I know all of
Yeah.
the windows and doors are locked. That does not stop me having panic attacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'll be in a similar thing.
It's
She knows there are no other cats. She's
there's
not going to be
no-
able to stop herself panicking. At
There's
the
no
thought
logic
that
behind
she's
it.
food.
Yeah, that's clear. I do sometimes. Sometimes I'll feed her and I'll stay there and stand next to her and like stroke her while she
Keep her
eats, and she's getting more relaxed about it. But yeah, I think she just got
Poor darling.
some deep programming as far as food goes that she's just not going to get over.
Oh, hey, yo.
There's Novers.
Hello,
Novia.
Novia.
Yep,
Oh,
there she is. She's not quite as big as Fitz, but she's still a big girl.
Hmm.
Hi.
she's lovely.
Thank you.
Novia.
Yeah.
She's been
Hello.
talking
Hi.
about you. Hello.
She's like, what are we doing?
Why am I here?
I am
Oh, you have a
essentially
snack,
jumping.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's more interested in my snack than you guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think we've all had cats.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There is
This
no cat where I am now.
this has been there's some it's funny because I totally do not go in for romance in books. Just not my thing, doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
And there's some kind of romancy stuff. There's a lot of relationship stuff.
A lot of relationships.
There's a lot of
Exactly.
relationship
I
stuff.
wouldn't call it romance
No, it's
or
not romance.
nor love triangle because they are
No.
pursuing, but the girl is like very firm, saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
And
not interested.
I get
But it's also
so
not
angry
just
when
not
people
just
say that it's love triangle. I
not
get so
just that specific. I mean, without
No.
getting into names and spoilers, without that specific
yeah.
love triangle
There's
ish,
a lot of other things happening.
there are everybody's hooking up or wanting to hook up or trying to hook up or trying to avoid hooking up or
At the same time,
And that
there's a
is
lot of it.
that is
dominance occurring.
understandable for the
And-
first time they're out of all those restrictions.
It totally
and
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's
But
unrealistic. I think it's absolutely realistic, and it's not even only the kids. It's
No.
there's also other people who like.
Yeah.
It's one of the themes is of the whole thing is romantic relationships, you know,
outside
and
of
sexual
the
relationships
of war.
and acceptability of
And
relationships
ability to make the choice. And
yeah,
I mean, the themes in Rainwells are close to my heart,
For me,
very, very close.
fascinating
Very
thing,
yeah.
though, is these are happening while you're also getting dominance structuring happening
Yeah.
as well. So they're trying to form hierarchies and trying to form romantic liaisons without damaging their dominance attempts. And it becomes this really tangled kind of web because they're like, oh, I
It's
can't
a
behave this
mess.
way because it won't impress this person who I'm trying to impress, but
Yeah.
I have to behave this way. And that is really fascinating.
Sounds like
Sounds like
every
every-
restaurant Dan has worked in.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's Hobb. She gets people. And this is how
Yeah.
people act.
It's totally realistic if you take a whole bunch of essentially weirdos who are sort of
All outcasts.
the discarded people of a society, and you remove them all from that society but put them in a pressure cooker together.
And tell them they're making their own rules now.
Yeah, exactly.
You get it.
So it's interesting because, like I said, the romancy stuff is totally not my thing, and sometimes it goes in a direction where I'm like, really? Do we have to? But she's still doing really interesting
That's
character
everything.
things, and it's connected to a lot of things. It's not just a romance story, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes romance in a fantasy book doesn't bother me. It's not even full-fledged romance. Example, I am reading this one, City of Stars. It is a fantasy political thriller actually.
Mhm.
So it's a murder mystery as well. That so like there is this empire, maybe I'm not sure if I can call it that, where gods were there like long time back. They like conquered the world and treated everyone as slaves,
Okay.
but now these people are like conquered, these were conquered, the gods are not there anymore. So there is a murder, so one ambassador comes to investigate. It is very intriguing. At the same time, she meets out of while finding those clues, she meets suddenly her old classmate from university, you know.
Yeah.
So we are getting those elements, flashbacks, how they met and what happened between them. I find it very interesting as well. I don't mind it as long
Yeah,
as
author
it
can
is
do it.
done well. It is part of life.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And that's where that good author thing can come in, where we can have it be part of a story because it's part of life without it being something we have to laser focus on, because we do have other things happening that we have to be paying attention to, much like, real world. We can be
Yeah,
here
and I
but
mean,
we still pay the power bill.
saying that Rainwild's is a romance would be a gross mischaracterization of the books. But there's
relationships,
some of
dynamics.
that relationship stuff in it, for sure.
That is definitely one of the main thematic elements she explored. But that's not the only thing.
No. It's but it's a big deal. But I mean, it's interesting. I'm finding it overall kind of frustrating. And not frustrating because I think it's a difficult book or I'm not enjoying it or anything like that, but because she's got like a cast of about 12 characters in pretty close proximity. And there's everything you can imagine with 12 different people is all going on at once.
Yeah.
So there's romantic stuff going on, there's sexual stuff going on, there's like dominance and hierarchy bullshit, and there's people manipulating each other, sometimes
And dragons.
nice ways and sometimes in very unnice ways. There's all sorts of hidden agendas, and there's dragons. So yeah. Aslan asks a question I can't answer because I don't get into romances, but
I liked one romance in Guns of the Dawn. It is a love triangle. One of them I
Yeah, I did like Guns of the Dawn.
beautiful
romance.
letters. I fell in love actually. And I liked one romance in LPQ a lot, very healthy.
Favorite romance.
I liked one in Realm of Elderlings. That's all I can say without spoilers.
That's the thing, is it?
I'm gonna go with a romance in Red Rising and also City Watch.
Yeah, I was wanting to call the one City Watch, but then I thought, can I call it a romance? Because it is so much in the background of that story.
But yet it's still one of the
It's
most
so powerful.
wholesome and wonderful
gold.
relationships.
Best
Yeah.
one in the
So good.
as far as I'm concerned.
So good.
Just absolute goals.
are you referring to the Carrot relationship or the Vimes relationship?
Vimes, I think.
Yeah.
Vimes.
Yeah.
A Carrot's fine. Like, I love Carrot, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Love Carrot and Negua, but like,
Yeah.
But Sybil and Vimes?
I
Oh
don't
my
want
God.
to know. I don't want to know what relationship
You
character you
already-
get into.
you
I
already
only-
read the book.
Oh, same one? Okay. But I
That's
mean, I
what
thought
mean.
it's a
It's
new
such a small
relationship
part of
for
the
it.
story.
Which
You
City
can
Watch
blink
have
and
you
miss it.
read, Anita?
Guts.
Only Guts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's fine.
Yeah. You
You can blink and miss it, and that's why I'm like, do I call it a romance? It's only when you read sort of further and you watch that.
Brian,
Become
what
more.
are you reading? What
And
book
even
are
then,
you
blink and
considering
miss it.
DNFing?
Brian, what are you subjecting yourself to that you should be DNFing?
I got one of my close friends to DNF something yesterday, so let's see if we
Oh,
can.
shit.
Dude,
Work on
Brian,
Brian.
I've been working on him since we met. Like,
Life is too short, my dude.
especially when you're our age, Brian. Like, get over it. we don't have enough years left to not DNF books. Like, there is no sensible reason to be reading a book you are totally
Having
just
said
not
that,
enjoying.
I
You're
don't
in good
DNF
company
regularly,
with a
but
quick straw poll.
but
Is this
I
worth
did-
continuing?
I DNF'd one book this year, like last month after 3 years. My third DNF since BookTube.
Is that this series, Brian? The Luke Arnold series?
Oh, that's right. No.
No,
No, it's the one that looks like
Ben-
it.
Rivers of
Ben
London. Yeah,
Aronovich,
That one.
yes.
Ben
Yeah, yeah.
Aronovich.
I always
I'm
get
going to
those
say
two mixed
Brian
up.
finish. It's not your
Brian
cup of
just
tea.
started Arm of the Sphinx already. It's calling you.
Just let it
It's
go,
not your
Brian.
cup of tea. You're just not going to enjoy it.
I mean, I have a good friend who is British who
them.
loves that series.
Yeah, it's not your flavor.
But if it's not your thing, just like why
Read
do it
something
yourself?
It's not your flavor. It's not going to change till you like it.
Yeah.
I'm like 100% certain it's not going to improve for you.
There is a point in my reading history before I embraced the DNF where I would get the feeling this is not a book for me. I am not enjoying it, but I would feel for some reason like I had to continue. And never once did my opinion of the book change.
Once you think that, it's
once I got to the point where I was like, I wish I could just let myself quit this. I never got to the point where I was like, oh damn, I'm glad I didn't quit this. You know?
It's just
Brian, that's 150 pages of something awesome you could be reading. You could be reading 150 pages of something else that you enjoy. I just don't understand why you would do it to yourself. I've DNF'd things at like 50 pages left. Why not? If you're
Just
not getting into it.
If it makes you feel better, Brian, you can always come back and finish Rivers of London later. Okay?
Yeah.
Put it down for now.
I've DNF'd books on page 1 before, and I'm just like, nope, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, what I'm saying is you don't have to break your DNF rule. You don't have to say, I am not going to finish it. You're just not going to finish it right now. Just put it down, and when you feel like it, you can come back. We can always go back. And
I think it's very clearly a DNF in this case. I've heard Brian talk about this particular book, and it's just not for him, and that's fine.
Fair.
But if you resisting the DNF because reasons, don't call it a DNF.
Contrary to the hashtag people on the internet, you don't have to, like, there's no obligation to finish certain books or series.
No.
And at
there
any point,
isn't.
You can come back and complete the book.
Yeah.
It's not going to cease to exist.
I only feel pity for people who refuse to DNF. I do not see it as any kind of achievement. I'm always like, why are you wasting time on garbage you don't enjoy?
I don't even think that harshly about it. If you're not feeling it for whatever reason,
just put it down.
Just put it down.
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's
just
not
like
going anywhere.
you're not enjoying it. Like, why keep reading?
I mean, I just know with my own mental health, there are books that I'll be reading and my brain will just stop working because it's new or it's difficult or it's stressful. I'm like, I can't finish this right now. Put it down. When I next feel up to it, I will read it.
I can imagine, Ron, that those things happen, but it's just never happened to me. And
why would you hate the first 2/3? That's such a lovely book.
That's a different discussion, but yeah, I just don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the FOMO. Like I don't believe in a book turning out being so good that if I DNF and I'm missing out on something, I don't care.
That's one of the fun parts about BookTube too, is I feel like, I mean, when I talked about the series that I'm either not going to read or that I've DNF'd, I actually genuinely enjoy listening to my friends talk about those series.
Sure.
That I don't feel like reading, but I still get a lot of enjoyment listening to people talk about them that do like them. That's more fun to me than reading the book.
Yeah. No, I love listening to people talk about books they love. I don't care whether I loved those books necessarily or not.
My thing is always, I love it. I want you to love it. If you're not loving it, for Christ's sake, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
The point is to love it.
Yeah. Let it go. Let it go, Brian. Just
also be kind to yourself at the minute is still allowed. So if it's a weird hangout and you know you're not going to get over it, then hurry up and finish the bloody thing so you can read something you like.
Yeah. Although it is strangely freeing. Like there are books that I have persevered with, and I got to the point where I was like, no, I am not doing this to myself anymore. And it was like
this liberating.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good.
Realize
to not have to keep reading this book.
And you're like, I don't have to punish myself with this today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It should be fun. Reading it should be something that's bringing you joy.
You
The
know, this one,
procrastinating DNF, leave a bookmark in it.
That's not
you all know last year I was in slump, right? So many books I started and left my bookmarks in it. I ran out of bookmarks. Last week,
there is no
last
such thing, Anita, because there's always receipts, bits ripped off of bags.
The next
envelopes.
gift you're getting from me, Anita, is going to be a pack of 100 bookmarks. Just so you
week
never
I went
hesitate to
and I
DNF.
took out 2 bookmarks.
I
It was
haven't looked for a
hilarious. I
while,
was
but
like,
didn't there used to be a thread somewhere of things librarians have found as bookmarks? And my favourite one, it's still to this day, was a slice of cheese.
what?
Gross.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a real reader.
I
That's a real
Right.
am aware of my own neuroses enough and honest with myself enough that I will not leave a bookmark in a book. Like,
Oh, I
because I know that if I put down a book, leaving a bookmark in it is only there to make me feel good. I'm not going to remember what was going on. I'm not going to come back and just continue reading as if nothing happened.
But it gives you an idea of how far to go back from. I might not want to reread all of the book to the point where I'm familiar, but maybe 50 pages. So I only have to go back a little bit from where the bookmark is.
It's something I
Totally.
used to do occasionally, and then I realized I was only doing it to lie to myself that I was going to pick the book back up. And I almost never ever
Too much
did.
self-awareness for me.
So I just stopped doing it. It's like I've got better things. I've got better books to read, and I've got better things to do with my bookmarks. Book snack.
gross.
Oh,
When you come back to the book, you've got a piece of cheese waiting for you. How
Gross.
convenient.
that's pretty gross.
I was asking myself this as well, Ron. Like I could not. I don't think I could run out of bookmarks.
That's
There's always
because
something
my
around I could
slump
use as
was
a
that
bookmark.
bad. I started so many books and I paused it and I left my books there actually. 4 of them
Crazy.
are on my table. One book I
I
like
have a book log thing. I have the instructions for my modem. That could be a bookmark. I have my glasses cleaning cloth. That could be a bookmark.
I have a cat. She has a
I'm
tail.
not even gonna lie. I have closed my book gently over one of my cat's tails so that I could reach for something else briefly, and then So like,
True. Yep.
You can also use
also
other
done that.
books as bookmarks.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
The big
like
thing that I've
big
been
chonkers,
teaching-
but, you know.
my
I've been-
favorite alternative bookmark
Oh.
is TV remote.
Oh, there you go.
TV remote, or I've used my phone more than once.
Yeah.
Or
I've
another
used my
book.
Kindle to bookmark a physical book.
Another book.
Put a book in a book.
Yeah, I've put
Yeah.
a book in a book.
Yeah.
I've definitely used some interest. I've used a quilting ruler.
Don't fall,
Just
don't fall, don't
literally
fall.
just looking around my
Crochet
room.
hook.
What have I used as
Yeah,
so
crochet
many
hook.
things? Yeah,
Hey.
so many things I've used as bookmarks.
I found one bookmark in this. I need to restart this book anyway, so I can take it out.
It was a put down for now.
That was a waffle.
Waffle.
Waffle. WFL.
I know.
We'll finish later. Yeah.
Bookmark
Waffle.
made by my friend and gifted to me when I was living in India. I was looking for these
Cute.
bookmarks.
That's
Nice.
awesome. I've been
It's a
Harry
I love
Potter
the
one.
manual
Happiness
bookmark.
can be found even in the darkest of times.
Almost
Love it.
all of my bookmarks are these, which are from my friendly local fantasy sci-fi bookstore, Otherland, which is awesome. It's a great actual physical store, and they have a big stack of bookmarks. And every time I go there to buy a book, I grab like 10
Yes.
bookmarks.
I've got a couple from a bookshelf.
So I've got like a stack like that. I can send you some, Anita.
It's my
You'll have
favourite
plenty
one.
for your
It's
next
my
slump.
nanny og.
Oh, I love that.
It's on the table
Cute.
with Grebo.
Very
Hey.
cool.
You will
Nice.
love Grebo, Tori.
I'm excited. I have so many Discworld books to read. I can't wait.
How is Oblivion,
Yes, Grebo.
Brian
He's
asked?
an official
Oh.
Grebo.
Cute.
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 The
I haven't-
FOMO just
Yes, you must
ramped
hear.
up with Oblivion.
Yeah, no, Brian started playing it a while ago. I started playing it a while ago. When I realized it was on Game Pass, then I
Oh,
was
that was
like,
it. Yep, you were hooked.
it's free and easy. I still kind of feel like it looks a lot better than I expected. I still feel like most of the attraction of it is nostalgia,
Mhm.
and it's nostalgia that I don't have because I never played it.
Oh,
So I'm kind of like, yeah, it seems.
Yes,
I played Skyrim, and I'm like, okay, it seems a lot like Skyrim but worse,
Okay.
kind of.
as somebody who has the nostalgia, that sort of as a yeah. I will say, in fairness, like Skyrim, just as a visual experience, is obviously a big step up from Oblivion. I think one of the things I will still say that the Thieves Guild quest line in Oblivion is hands down better
Which I
than
haven't
the one
done
in
yet.
Skyrim.
Which I
It's
haven't done yet.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite like story arcs in a game. It's
Okay.
just so cool. Dark Brotherhood is better in Skyrim in my opinion, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, all of the Dark Brotherhood stuff is way too edgelordy for me to ever want to do it. I never did it in Skyrim, and I will not probably do it in Oblivion. But I'm someone, obviously because of my job, I'm someone who's super, super, super aware of interfaces in software, and the Oblivion interface is atrocious. It is
can see
so frustrating and annoying to do a lot of things. So that kind of annoys me. But like it's very the Skyrim feeling. It's very open. There are stories all over the place. You can talk to almost anyone and do almost anything. I like that. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I bought a house last night
Nice, good for you.
in Oblivion, and it was haunted.
Oblivion. I was going to say, Jesus, that came out of nowhere.
No. And it was haunted.
Of course.
And there was a lich living in the basement, basically.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
I
that one.
had to clear
Yeah.
all of that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to basically live in Anvil because Anvil is the closest thing to a Mediterranean city in Oblivion.
Nice.
It's sunny and
Elder Scrolls Online is okay. Like it's okay.
I played a little ESO
I played
for a
a little
while.
bit of
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, I played a little of that a while ago, but yeah, I don't know.
We need to figure out, Matt, at some point a game that we can like co-play. That'd be fun.
True, that would be fun.
Mhm.
I haven't been playing that much multiplayer stuff lately,
I haven't either.
but I'm sure there's something. Then it would just be a time zone question.
Right. Well, I'm usually around in the early afternoon though.
That's true.
So
Evenings, my time. Yeah, we could probably figure something out. Speaking of my time, it is 11 in the evening, my time. It's getting late-ish for me. I'm not going to immediately go to bed, but I have had enough pub for now. Might wind it down. Thank you so much, ladies, and Jared, and everybody who joined on the screen, and Josh. Always a pleasure to actually not be on screen by myself. Thank you, everybody in the chat who joined. Always a pleasure to have you here. The regulars, I don't know. Put your hand up really quickly if you're here for the very first time. But I didn't notice anybody. Actually, Brady Spiker is somebody I don't remember seeing ever before.
welcome.
So, yeah, if you're here for the first time, welcome.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, like I said, Marianne, I'm not going to bed immediately. but it's late-ish.
He's just
And it's
he
Sunday.
doesn't want to talk to us anymore.
I'm tired
He's sick
of
us.
I'm tired of very specifically Anitha, actually.
I know. And you don't have to
Gotta
tell.
be-
By
gotta be
default, I
honest.
know you're talking
Yeah.
about me.
I didn't even
Yeah,
bicker with Anita today.
Who else
I
could
was
it
on my
be?
best behavior.
Next week, I think it's in. I need to look at my calendar. It's either 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm going to be out of town. I'm actually going to see an awesome Buddhist teacher teach
Nice.
in another city,
Oh.
Jigme Rinpoche. So I will be
Nice.
away for the whole weekend. It's a meditation lecture course, but that's in. I think it's in 3 weeks. Actually, I'll let you know.
Check your calendar. You
Yeah.
don't want to be getting your dates wrong.
No. And I will post that on the Fireside Discord. So you will all see that there. But I can also check my calendar between now and next Sunday and let you know next Sunday.
Yeah.
So see you all next Sunday in the Sunday Pub. Have an excellent week. Enjoy your books. Have a lovely time and see you then.
And